Art with Mr. Posey. Abstract black and white photography.
Hello again, Mr. Posey here. Welcome to your second week of home learning for art. This week, we're going to use a little technology to make our art. Our art project is going to be photography. Now, I'm sure you've all taken photos before, but for this, we're not just taking a photo of a person,
hello,
or a place.
bonjour.
We are trying to create a piece of abstract art. We are trying to find things around the house that when you get close to them, or when you see them in a photo without everything else around them, they look abstract. What does that mean for a photograph? Well, you could zoom in on something like a piece of machinery.
This fireplace in my living room had some interesting shapes. I got a picture of the top. I looked down at the bottom at the grate. And I also looked at the side where the light was reflecting off the metal.
The texture on a tree.
The bark patterns on the tree looked really interesting. Maybe if I zoomed in a little bit, I might get a better shot. I can also try to look for patterns on the tree that might look unusual or have shapes in them, like this circle with a line through it.
Or the way that a corner comes together in your room.
Looking around in my kitchen, the skylights looked really cool. They had different shades, the way the light was coming through them. This was probably my favorite shot. It shows the skylight in my kitchen with symmetry.
Hopefully, you have some sort of device at home that you can take photos with. That could be a phone, an iPad, maybe even the camera on your Chromebook. It could even be a digital camera. When you choose something to be the subject of your photo, I want you to think about a couple different things. The first thing that I want you to think about is something called composition. That means that you are trying to line everything up inside that picture frame in an artistic way. You want to have things kind of balanced, and you want to create a piece of art that looks interesting. That's composition. Arranging things in your art so it looks interesting.
The composition of this work is very balanced, and the focal point is set above the center.
The next thing that I want you to think about is something called value and contrast. So value, as you know if you've done the stippling art from last week, means all of the different shades of gray, from white all the way through to black. When you look through your camera, you want to try to find an image that has some very dark areas, some very light areas, and all of those grays in between.
This image has great contrast, some black, some white. This shot from my kitchen has great value, dark, light, and lots of grays between.
I'm going to grab my iPad and take a little walk around my house and maybe even in my yard to see if I can find some compositions that show contrast, value, and that come out looking abstract.
Inside my house, I found some interesting things, like my skylight and my fireplace, but I also found some musical instruments that had interesting compositions when I zoomed in close on them. These piano keys have nice contrast also. The shades in my kitchen show lots of value and look really interesting and abstract. Outside, I found great patterns on trees, in plants. Different angles can give you different views. And the stones on the side of my house had a nice pattern. Remember, be safe where you go. Don't go anywhere where your parents don't want you to go when you're taking your pictures. Altogether, these were my 5 favorite shots. They have lots of value, contrast, interesting compositions, and for the most part, they all look pretty abstract.
Now, when I do a photography project, I go around and take lots of pictures. 10, 20, 100 pictures is a good number to take. Then you have to do some editing. So that would mean going back through all of the photos that you took and choosing maybe 3 to 5 that you really like. You can delete all the rest and keep those 3 to 5 as your finished pieces of art. Depending on what you're taking your photos with, it might be different how you might change those into black and white photos. I know if I take a picture on my phone, I can go edit and then the filters, and there's a black and white filter to change my photo to black and white. The same thing goes for an iPad. You edit your photo and then you find that black and white filter to change it into a black and white image.
Here's a photo that I took of my cat on my phone. I wanted to show you how you might turn a picture into a black and white picture. Most devices like a phone or an iPad have a function that says Edit up in the corner there. If I click this Edit button, it's going to give me some options. Somewhere I'm going to see some filters that allow me to change my image to black and white. I clicked my filter button, found the one that was black and white, and then I clicked Done. Remember, this may look different on different devices. You'll have to do a little investigating. Meow.
If you do some investigating and you just can't figure out how to make them black and white, please email me your photos. I will use my program to convert them into black and white, and I'll send them back to you. So it is your time to explore and to use your artistic eye to find some compositions that look interesting, abstract, and have lots of contrast and value. Some of you might be thinking, I don't want to just take pictures this week. I would like to draw something too. Well, as an extra step to this project, if you would like to, you could take your photograph, look at it, and try to do a pencil drawing of what is shown in your photograph.
Look for a video on how to turn your photo into a drawing later this week.
Also, if you're looking for some things to draw, go down to our projects from last week and try out the stippling art. I hope you're doing great. I'm excited to see lots of your amazing abstract black and white photos. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Go Colts!